better work or good work in this world. We ask and pray that in all our aspects we may be able to implement equality, and in that way, Lord, that's the only way we can demonstrate your character in this world. Be with us, guide us. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so we are going to continue with the lesson that we began some weeks back. I think it's been a while since we had that where we left. If you remember the last time we discussed about the nature of men, or we begin a study trying to understand we're really trying to understand the nature of children, but for us to understand the nature of children, we had to at least first visit the nature of men, because as a movement we have at least studied that we have had that study, and we have a certain understanding about the nature of men. So the fact that children are also human beings, it means that it also applies to them. But then we want to understand to what extent does it apply to children. And I think us understanding that will help us relate to children and see things from their worldview, and it will help us really, when you really understand someone, you relate them in a way that is different than someone doesn't understand someone or something like that. I think you understand.
Hey friends, it looks like Twin has been kicked out. Can we please give her some few minutes? I don't know. I'm also out of electricity. I don't know if you can hear me. Twin?
Yes, I'm back. So,
Okay, Gemden.
sorry, I didn't even realize that I was kicked out. It's only later on I'm like, what? Am I speaking to myself? I'm very sorry about that. So I don't even know where I was cut. But anyway, I was saying, okay, Milton, please make me the host. I want to share my screen. So I was saying that um, I think doing the nature of men study will help us understand children, and it will help us to relate to them better. And implementing equality, on children won't be a struggle. And yeah, it will just help us. I think for me, really, it's helpful. So I'll just revise from where we left off. last time, or maybe just like I'll just run. Okay, back. Okay, so the nature of man teaches us that man is threefold. Yeah, that's the physical, the intellectual, and the moral powers. Yeah? And it's so interesting that there's quotations, Sister White, give us this concept about, the nature of man in expounding, or when she's actually talking about the training of children. She says that every parent and teacher should have great care and skill in training and education children. And then in mentioning or in talking about, she brings up that, she talks about the nature of men. So meaning that there is no way that we can be better teachers or better parents without a proper understanding of the nature of men. For us to do a better work, we also need to understand that men is threefold, and it's in. So Sister Wadi says that it's what is a threefold, and the training enjoined by Solomon comprehends the right development of the physical, intellectual, and moral powers. So what does the word development mean or imply? It means that there is a I may not phrase it the right way, but development implies growth or implies progression. If something is developing, it means it's like growing. Ne? So the nature of man grows on the physical sphere, on the intellectual sphere, and on the moral powers. Or men, all those powers or the faculties, the physical, intellectual, and the moral, there's a development on those three faculties, or I don't know what to call them, I just say faculties. So here is the nature of man, is the physical, intellectual, and the moral. So we know the lower passions, they have their seat in the body, and we know that the lower passions, they work through the body, and we know in themselves they cannot work contrary to the will of God, because um, they are not the governing power, they're just the lower passions. So the fact that they are lower passions, it means that they're also the higher powers. So the nature of man has the higher powers and the lower powers. The lower powers is the physical. We know they are non-physical. So the physical, it's the emotions, the feelings, that side. And then the higher powers is the intellectual and the moral. And Sister Was says that it is the threefold is the right development of these three: the intellectual, the moral, the physical. That's the nature of man. So a proper adult should have all these powers functioning properly. So I'm just cruising through. And then the governing power and the nature of man is the will. The will is the governing power and the nature of man, bringing all other faculties under its way. The will is not the state or the inclination, but it is the deciding power which works in the children of men unto obedience to God or unto disobedience. So Sister White tells us that the will is the governing power. It is that deciding power. It brings all the faculties under it, so that the decision making happen. You see, so the will works with all these other faculties, which are under intellectual. We have the understanding of information, we have whether the processing of knowledge or the storage of the knowledge, they're all under the intellectual. And then we have the will, and we have the conscious and the reason. So all this, I may not have a clear understanding on which one is consulted first, or maybe everything happens in the first time, but for the decision to be made, they will have to consult or bring all these faculties under its sway. Sister White says that, I'll just use her terms. She says the will brings all these faculties, the information, the knowledge, the memory, the conscious, it brings us in like together, like these. I'm trying to imagine where, when there's a, whether it's like a small meeting quick that, if a decision has to be made, those come together and then the world decides. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly how it happens, but all these faculties, they play a role and then they will make the decision. Yeah. So I think last time we went up to this far. So that's the nature of men, and we know that through, as we continue, I mean, with our understanding of in nature of men, we know that sinning is a choice. Making a right or wrong decision is a choice. We have all the power within us to make a right or wrong decision. Yeah, so the question that we asked last time is that, does this apply to children? This at what age do we say that children have all the faculties in place to make a decision, whether a right or a wrong one? Yeah? And yeah, yes, that's the question that we asked last time, and then I remember we asked people to go through some research. I'm not sure if there's anyone who remembers, or maybe remembers where we left and they did some research. But anyway, Shamisa told me that she did some research, but she won't be able to contribute today. So that's where we left off last time. So just to ask the question again, even if maybe I'm not going to ask you why and what. So how do I ask the question? Do you guys think children, okay, like a newborn, are they able to make a decision? Like, as we're explaining the nature of men, that they are able to choose the right and wrong. They are able to that they're able to reason or something like that. Do you think children are able to do that? Like an infant or a newborn, are they able to decide? Are they able to reason? In other words, do they have all these faculties in place, able for the will to be able to make a decision? Basically, that's the question. I just want a yes or no, or maybe, and then I can continue. I won't corner you.
No.
Was that Tato?
Yes, that's Tato.
Okay, Tato is saying no. A second opinion. Do you think a newborn, have all these faculties in place for them to decide, for the will to be able to do its work? Basically, that's the question.
No, they don't have.
They don't have. They don't have. Elder Gracious is saying no, they don't have. So my slide, why is it stuck now? Okay. Okay, so this question is saying that every human being possessed of reason power has the right, every human being possessed of reason has power to choose the right. So we're saying, okay, so every human being possessed of reason has power to choose right. So the fact that some of us think that, you know, children, newborns are not able to, do not have the are not possessed of reason, then they don't have the choice of right. So yeah, I guess that's what everyone is, maybe those that have suggested are saying. This quotation from Child Guardian says, "It is a parent's duty to speak right words. Day by day, parents should learn in the school of Christ lessons from one that loves them. Then the story of God's everlasting life, then the story of God's everlasting love will be repeated in the home school to tender the flock. That's before reason is fully developed. Children may catch a right spirit from their parents." Okay, so Sister White is mentioning that there is a point when children's reason capacity is not fully developed, and then at that stage, how are they to learn to do right? By learning from their parents, by beholding you become changed. So everything, they are just, you know, parents are to be models, and that's how they learn to do right. Not that they are able to choose, or not that they're able to reason, but they're just doing right because they are seeing the parents doing the right. Okay, so for us to understand, because we're talking about reason, which is something that's not like physical. So I thought I should put this picture for us to demonstrate, you know, these faculties, how they work. So as you can see here, that's the development of the physical movements of a child. So, you know, a newborn, you know, they don't have the head, the coordination, or they can't even, like, yeah, I think it's called head coordination. They can't even move their limbs, you know, but so I think in the neurological development there, I don't know whether the neuron is there already or it comes later in time, but then yeah, it's not yet like fully, the pathway is not like developed. But then as the child grow, or as you know, as they grow, they master some skills. That's the head coordination, they're able to move their skill. So it's, as they master the skill, it prepares them to master the next and the next now. So it's progression. There is no way a baby can, you know, can jump a phase. Like they can't, you know, start sitting before they can coordinate their head properly. They can't, a child cannot walk before they can learn to sit. You know, it's a progression. That's, you know, that's nature. Yeah, that's how nature is, like, that's how progressive. So that's you get what I'm saying, yeah? So also in the thinking, or in the reasoning faculties, there is a development that takes place similar to this one, just that in the reasoning, it's not physical. We cannot see it. Ne? And remember the reasoning, these are the faculties that are responsible for or decision making, behavior, you know, all those things. So as much as when a baby, you know, they're going to learn how to crawl, how to walk, you know, that they're not like perfect at the same time. They'll be they'll be like 1, 2, 3 step fall down. And then, but the more they do it, they become better and they master the skill, and eventually they're able to walk. So when we go to the unseen faculties, the reasoning faculties, there's that pathway as well in the thinking, that, you know, as they get to the point of making the decisions as well, they'll be learning how to, sometimes they do it right, they do it wrong, and all that until they master the skill, something like that. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to explain. So what are the skills that are needed for reasoning? Yeah. Reasoning skills generally refer to critical thinking skills like analysis, evaluation, synthesis. However, they also include wider skills like abstract thinking, creative thinking, information processing, and problem solving. So these are the skills that are required in reasoning for the for the will to, I think, to get to a place where it's able to do its function properly. At least all this, the information processing, the problem solving, abstract thinking, all the skills should be already in place. And they're not, they just don't be there overnight. It's a process. And so, guys, we're still together.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, a disclaimer, I'm not, I, I could be missing some things here and there. So at least I believe that you guys will hold me, you correct me where I'm wrong, and yeah, hold me accountable to all the things that I'm gonna be saying, because I'm not really an expert in this. I just did a research, and it could be there could be some loopholes. But so I just searched on the process or the development of all these faculties that are necessary for one to get to that stage when they're now able to choose the wrong and the Pigeon's theory. From Wikipedia is saying that is a comprehensive theory about the nature and development of human intelligence. It was originated by Swiss developmental psychologist. The theory deals with the nature of knowledge itself and how humans gradually come to acquire, construct, and use it. The theory is mainly known as a developmental stage theory. So Piaget proposed 4 stages to describe the development process of children. That's the sensory motor stage, the pre-operational stage, the concrete operational stage, and then the formal operation stage. So these are the stages in this development, the development stage theory that was suggested by Piaget, that there are 4 of them. Why is it stuck again? There are 4 of them. So here so he says that from 0 to 2 years, that's the sensory motor stage. And then the second one, it's 2 to 7 years, the pre-operational one. Then there's the 7 to 11 years, the concrete operational. And then there's the 12 years and above, that's the formal operational. Yeah. So I won't really get into much, detail about this, about, these stages, but then the 0 to 2 years, that's when babies, they learn about the world through their senses, through their actions, by looking, hearing, touching, and grasping. And at this stage, the main thing that they learn is the permanence, the object permanence. And um, I think, not that I think, babies are born not knowing that, if something moves away from them, it still exists. So that's what this object permanence means. Like when a child is looking at you, you just there, and then you walk away from them, you disappear. Like for them, you don't exist anymore. Or when you take away a toy from their hand, and maybe if a toy it falls down, like they will not try to look for it. For them, it doesn't exist anymore. It's not there. So at this stage, one thing that they will come out knowing is the object permanence, that they know that when mama goes out of the door, she's gonna come back. But before then, it's a struggle, you know. Sometimes you be like busy, and I'm like, maybe nature presses, I'm busy maybe dressing up Alanda, and I'm like, okay, I need to, or maybe I forgot something in the other room. I need to rush, go get it. The fact that I just go out of the door, just disappear on her. Even I say, Landa, I'm coming back. She doesn't understand. Once I go, I'm gone. For her in her mind, she doesn't understand that mama is just going for 2 seconds and she's coming back. So yeah. And then, of course, and then, I'm busy. I'm laughing at myself because, okay, and then the 2 to 7 years, the pre-operational one, they, okay, it says a child cannot conserve, which means that the child does not understand that quantity remains the same, even if appearance changes. Furthermore, the child assumes that they assume that everyone sees the world as they do. And yeah, the way they see the world, it's the way it is, and they think that everyone sees it like that. So that's why sometimes when you take a stack of like if you take maybe 21 runs, and then you take maybe 100 not, like that's you'll be having like $20 and maybe 100 rand on the side. But then if you split the 20 rand maybe into maybe 50 cents or and you ask the child to choose, they'll choose the quantity, the many. Yeah, it's the way they reason at that point that they don't understand that quantity may remain the same. Now sometimes maybe when you're dishing out food, and maybe you give someone a portion that maybe in their eyes it appears to be bigger than the other, if you use different containers to give them, whether you're giving them chips or what. But as long in their eyes, it may appear that, that portion is bigger than that one. Yeah, it's at that point, that's how they see it. It doesn't matter how you might say. It's because, us as adults, we reason at a higher level, we understand. But then for them at that point, things will be appearing at that, and that's their nature. I don't know how to explain it, but and then there are so many, and then pretend plan stuff, and then the 7 to 11, the concrete operational, they begin to converse, reverse their thinking and classify objects. They think logical and understand analogies, and only about concrete events. So at this stage, they're a bit mature. So it progresses, it develops, as the year goes. And then of course the 12 years, they use abstract reasoning about hypothetical events or situations. They consider logical possibilities and systematically examine, test. And so at this point, they've got that ability, the abstract logic, potential for mature moral reasoning. So I guess the ideal stage, or the ideal milestone when it comes to reasoning is it's really the last stage. But then I think it's safe to say, through the things that I've been studying, it says that around the age of 7, give or take a year, so on average, it's at the age of 7 that children enter a developmental phase known as age of reason. The age of reason refers to the developmental, cognitive, emotional, and moral stage in which children become more capable of rational thought, have internalized a conscious, and have better capacity to control impulses than in previous stages. It's the time when a child starts to truly grasp the difference between right and wrong, and begins to realize that other people have their own feelings and that might not match his or her feelings. So it's average around 7 years when children enter. We're not saying that they are there yet. We're saying that the neuron that's responsible for that, at least the pathway, if not the neuron, the pathway, is created, and it gets strengthened. We know the more we do something, the more we become good at it. So we're saying that on average, it's at 7 years when children enter the reason of age stage, and that's where they're able to think rationally. They're able to internalize the conscious and have a better capacity in controlling their impulses and stuff. Yeah, but it's at age of 12 at least. So if it begins at age, but at least by 12, they shouldn't have a better, a better Martin, what's the word? They yeah, by 12 they most really at a better stage, and it progresses, because I think at 12 that's when there's that abstract logical and stuff. Yeah, are we guys still together?
Yes, let's
Still together.
Okay, so if children begin to think rationally or to internalize the conscious on average at the age of 12, or if they are able to reason because you say the age of reason, it's around the age of 7 there on average. For some, it could be 6, some it's earlier because, children develop really according differently. Even, with the physical, we know not all babies sit at 5 months, some at 4 months, some at 7 months. It really depends, but we have the average guideline milestones. So if the children um, are able to have all the faculties necessary to reason by the age of 7. Before they're able to do that. And we're also not saying that by 7 they expect, they are still learning, its progression as much as, yeah. So before then, we read the quotations that one says that before the reason is fully developed, they learn from us, we are their models. They see everything. We know how children, they always copy everything that we do. Even some things that we think that, they're not watching when we do them. We get surprised. Me, I'm always amazed when Alanda now does things. I'm like, I thought you're still a baby. Now I should kick you out when I'm doing some things because, yeah, they'll amaze you. So before they can decide for themselves, they watch from us and they just copy and they do that. Sometimes it could be the right things or the wrong things. And if they do the wrong things, okay, how do you think you guys we should really relate to children with the understanding that they don't have the faculties in place to do right? Because I think as parents or as guidance, we want our children to do right, to behave right, definitely according, everything, is always influenced by, our principles or our worldview and stuff, but we always want them to do right, behave right, good behaviors, good this, good that, good decisions. But knowing now that, they don't have the capacity to do that at a certain age, how do you think we should relate? Because I think now, okay, let me allow people to talk first. Let's talk, guys. I've been talking
Hello.
on my own. Milton.
Yeah, I don't have the quote in place, but there's a quote, I think, which Ellen White says that parents should be more sympathetic with their children, knowing that consciously the tendencies that children are manifesting were actually inherited from them. So in other words, there's a lesson in seeing how children behave. If it's a bad behavior, I think that's where we learn even how God deals with us as parents, because there has to be mercy. It's not that the intent is to hurt and to cause trouble. So that's where parents need to be very careful in addressing those behaviors, because they are the ones who actually pass them on according to the rule of nature.
Thank you, Milton. Does anyone wants to say something? Okay, so silence for now. Maybe people are still thinking. So it takes 25 years for the brain to fully develop. And I may not understand fully what that means, but I think that it just speaks of, all the faculties that should be in place, for a human to function. I think, yeah, I think it just means that they are all in place at least by 25 years. So before then, the brain is just developing. I think it means that unless maybe someone can correct me, what it means that a brain takes for 25 years to develop. I think it means that. So I think some of the time for us who we're really mature now and adults and stuff, we think when we look at children, we think they are being silly or they are being naughty or what when they do some things. But then when we try to put ourselves in their feet, knowing that they're still they are reasoning. Because for an example, let's just take a 3-year-old. A 3-year-old will just go into the cupboard, maybe take Surf and mix with Millie Meal, and maybe they are cooking. Take the pots and turn on the stove and try to cook for her toys or something like that. In her mind, are they really trying to be naughty or silly or what? No, they're not doing that. Like if we are to be honest, in their mind, they're not trying to be silly or no, they're not trying to be naughty. But from us who are adults, who understand some principles and concepts which a 3-year-old does not understand is yet, the concepts of safety, and the concepts of cleanliness, the concepts of we know how expensive things are, we shouldn't be we shouldn't be what's the word, we shouldn't be, yeah, yeah, and using because things are pricey now, we don't want to be reckless about the things that we're buying and stuff. So there are things that we as adults we understand, and a child does not understand. They don't know, their worldview is still limited. The things, the concepts that they have, they're not limited. For them, maybe putting Millie Meal, turning on the stove and stuff and cooking for the purpose, because they're just always watching mom preparing a meal for the family, or dad preparing meals for the family. So because they're at that stage where they are playing where what's that? It says the pre-operational stage. They represent and refer to objects and events with words and images. So they are playing that thing of being a mother and cooking and stuff. So in their worldview, in their limited understanding, they're just preparing a meal for their family, and they don't care about the mess. They don't understand yet that they are making a mess. They don't understand that they are wasting meal. They don't understand that turning on the stove, might, cause some explosion or cause them to get shocked or to burn. They don't understand all those things. So we as an elder, sometimes when you look at children, we think they developed as we are, but truly and honestly they are not. And when we relate with them, or like when we now encounter such a situation, the way we deal with them like as if they have the understanding that we have. But what we actually supposed to be doing is put ourselves in their shoes, understand that they are at a stage, they are not, 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 where their understanding is very limited. They don't understand cleanliness. They don't understand, how expensive things are, how they should not be playing with the, million stuff, how they should not be playing with electricity. They don't understand all those things. And when you approach that situation with insulting or beating the children, and is it going to solve the situation? Is it actually helping the child even in their development journey, because they're still developing, just like when a child is learning to walk, when they take 2 steps, 1 2 3, and then they drop. Are you going to beat them when they can't walk properly? Are you going to beat them for that? No, we don't. We always like pick them up and say, try again, try again. But then why is it that when on the thinking faculty, on the thinking side of the story, we don't um, think or see children as people who are still developing, that needs to be helped or encouraged the way we encourage children when they are learning to walk, and then they are, because I think it's really the same, just that I'm sorry, I'm coughing. So that's why I mute the mic. So I was saying that, I think even on the behavior side, when the children, we think that what they're doing is bad behavior according to how we see things. When we looking at their where they are developmentally, they'll be making mistakes, similar to the mistakes that they do when they are learning the physical skills. Do you guys get what I'm trying to say? And the way we approach children when they are learning physical things, I mean the physical skills like learning to sit, learning to crawl, learning to walk, I think it should be the very same way we approach when they are learning the skills of thinking and reasoning, because they're going to make mistakes, they're going to do bad things and all that. Uh, but that does not give room, or that does not mean that we should, we should whether insult or beat or shame them, or yeah, do all the bad things that we should do, but rather we should be positive, encourage them, support them, um, you know, um, you know, sometimes appreciation on the stuff and all that, but sometimes just to assist them in that development journey. Does anyone wants to say something? Or a question, if not a comment?
Letwin.
Hey, brethren, you're so quiet. I'm too much. I'm scared. Does
You
anyone
were
have
kicked
a
out of
question?
this.
Yes, I was kicked out.
Tato wanted to say something. We can hear you, Tato.
Oh, you can hear me. I thought you can't hear me. Oh, there was this you know, the last part that you were speaking about. There was this article that was sent by Alta Paminder. I'll just share it on the Zoom platform. And that that article, it was just like a mirror that is put before you. That was just to say, look how you used to be. And we were so extreme, even in the things that we used to do, like you would speak about spanking and all these other things. So your last comments, they actually brought that back to my mind on how we used to view things and we used to do things. They were at that point, Uti, we were no better than those whom we say are not even God's people, you see. So I'll just send that article on the Zoom platform. Thank you so much for the lesson.
Thank you, Tato. We really appreciate that article. Um, anyone else?
Hello?
Yes, Milton.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think we also used to take lightly especially the inherited tendencies which children adopt from the parents, because when you look at the experience after sin, when we mature, we have learned something, we know that the higher powers are able to control the lower powers, but it doesn't remove the tendency or the weakness to want to repeat that thing which has been done for so long. And with kids, when they are born, those tendencies are active and they don't have the governing body to control them. So as they are developing, I think it's an experience which parents need to be very aware that, not that they need to blame themselves, but it's an experience which needs God's grace, because you are actually seeing what you have maybe tried or managed to conquer, but the children are still learning how to develop that ability to conquer. So Ellen White emphasizes on us giving them the tools to be able to use their will and their mind properly. So being angry and using a bad method of raising them, it makes things worse, because we end up strengthening those bad behaviors and we even confuse the children. So the method we raised with and which we were also adopting was even more harmful than what can be achieved.
Agent,
Yes, Tato, I think Twin is kicked out again.
oh, hey Milton, yes, the comment you just made, it's like uh, we are at the turning point in history where we are like a people who are turning a Titanic that is about to be shipwrecked. Because when you look at all these bad, so bad because we can be able to see today, but before we thought they were good. So those ideas and views and way of doing things and even raising our children, and it's all because of how we have adopted from our parents. And yeah, we are like those people who are at the verge of turning something, a world that is heading for a a crash, and we are those last hope to really put things into a correct perspective because of yeah the way we have been raised up. It's totally contrary to what we have been studying through, what Twin has been going through.
Thank you, Tato, and Milton for the comment. Um, yeah, my other device has died because we don't have power. So I joined in with another one with a phone. But all the notes, yeah, are on the other device. So I think for today we'll just leave it here. But I just hope slowly but surely um we this will then help us to not expect too much from children, because I really think that we expect too much, way too much from children. And hence maybe sometimes we find ourselves triggered and find ourselves maybe interacting with them in a ways that we shouldn't. It's because our expectations are really too high, and maybe yeah, we should just learn to relate them from their level, come down to their level, and maybe see things the way they see them, and it will help us really to treat them as our equals. And yeah, so we just end here. Tonight we'll continue next time, given the opportunity. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your contributions. So we'll just end with a word of prayer. Um, let's pray. Uh, dear, dear Lord in heaven, thank you for the opportunity you've given us to look at the developmental stages of reason. Uh, we ask and pray that all this, Lord, may this understanding may help us to be better parents, better guidance, and relate with children in a better way. Uh, you have um, you have blessed us with them so that, Lord, we may do a good work in the end of the world, in the final reformatory movement, Lord, in the history of success. We really plead and cry that, Lord, we may do the work that you require us to do, that we may succeed in all that you have given us to do in this world. As we shall sleep, be with us, and bless each and every one of us where we are. We know our needs, we know our cries. May you meet us at our point of need. We ask that you protect us as we shall rest. Blessed each and every one of us, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, brethren, for joining. Meet again in the morning.
Thank you so much, Twin, for the wonderful lesson, and thank you, my dear friends, for joining.
there's a lot, um, just a lot that we have learned. So we will meet tomorrow. May you have a blessed night. Thank you so much, Jean. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Letwin. Thank you indeed.
May God bless you.
Happy Sabbath, Mama. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.